Okay, so welcome to Digital Badging in Music Education. I am really excited about today's topic, and yeah, we've got lots to get through as usual, but I really hope it's going to be very useful and practical for everyone. So let's just get started. About this session, first of all, if I haven't met you, welcome. My name's Katie and I run my business called Midnight Music, where I help music teachers essentially with technology related things. And I do that through my webinars, through my blog, through my podcast. And I have an online learning community, which is a paid community, and it's a professional development space where I have lots of courses and tutorial videos and a forum. Now, before we get started, a few housekeeping things. If you have tech issues during the session, it's ordinarily the internet at your end. So if you can come out of the session, come back in again, refresh the page, get closer to your router. I always say this, but kick the kids off Netflix and PlayStation, whatever you need to do to make it a little bit better. And don't worry, look, if things go really badly for you, the session is being recorded and you can catch up with the recording afterwards. Now, I'm going to also provide for you a copy of the slides that I'm showing today. So feel free to take notes as we go along, but just know that you'll also get a copy of the slides as well. I am super happy that Amy Burns is back to be the moderator of the chat today, and I'm going to talk a little bit more about Amy in just a second, but she's been here for a number of the webinars doing the moderation, and that's such a help for me because it means I can just concentrate on actually running the session. Now, Amy will answer questions as we go along in the chat window, things that pop up, but we'll have a longer Q&A session at the end, and that kind of goes for just as long as people have questions to ask me, and Amy will hang around and answer them for as long as we can, or until my voice starts getting croaky. Now, I want to make a couple of announcements before we get started. And the first one I'm so excited about. Amy's actually come on board with me in an official capacity, and she's joined me inside the Midnight Music community, which is that online professional development community. She's come on board as the MMC coordinator, and she's helping out in the forum. She's lending her expertise, and oh my gosh, it's only been, I think, a couple of weeks so far, but it's such a help to me and such a help to the members of the community, because Amy's special area is elementary music, and she's such an expert in that area, much more than me. And so it's so great to have her as a resource for people. And she's been answering questions and making Loom videos to explain concepts and sharing tips, and it's just been fantastic. And we're only a couple of weeks in. Now, I also want to make another announcement, which is that Amy's got a new book which is coming out really soon. And I know that a number of people who are watching today will be interested in this one. So this is all about using technology with elementary music approaches, those approaches being things like the Kodály and offshore work approach and the FIRE and project-based learning. So Amy's had some guest people write some introductory paragraphs about what those approaches are, and then Amy's got a set of lessons that go along with them, which will work with all of those things in the elementary classroom. Now, the book's just coming out now. I've got my copies on order for Australia. I think my updated date of like when it's going to arrive is October sometime. Amy's got her copy, so if you're in the States, it'll probably come a little bit quicker. You can actually grab a copy from Amazon. It's an OUP, Oxford University Press publication, so you can head to their website as well. But highly recommend. Amy's got a number of books out, but this is the latest one, so do go and check that out. Now, another announcement I want to make just briefly is that for my business, I am seeking a new content manager. I've had the lovely Daya doing this role for some time, and Daya's moving on to bigger and better things. And we've tweaked the role a little bit. It's not going to be quite the same as what Daya's been doing, but I am looking for someone to take this on. And if you are interested in just seeing what it's about, or you think you know someone who might be interested in taking this role on, you can head to this link and there's a job description there. And this role is just, it's a few hours a week. I'm estimating a minimum of 5, maybe up to 10 hours a week, and it might be something that fits around what you already do. So if this is something you're interested in, I'd love to hear from you. There's a link to a form that you can fill out if you think the role might suit you. And the last thing I want to say before we get stuck into digital badges is that I've had a form going for a little while, maybe a week or two, about future webinar topics. And there are 5 that I've picked to put in this form where you can rank them from 1 to 5, 1 being your favourite topic idea, 3 to 5. But you don't have to just stick with my options. You can actually suggest something that's not on that list at all. And I will tell you that I've already gone with, I've had about 615 people fill out the form so far, and the clear topic winner, which I will do for next month, is on Google Forms. So ironically, it's a form that you're filling out to vote on Google Forms. So that will be the topic for next month's webinar. And then the second one in the running round of the topic list at this stage is actually an advanced Google Slides webinar. So that's probably going to be November's topic, unless there's a different, a change in the voting patterns between now and then. So go ahead and vote. Feel free to add your own ideas. I love hearing what you are interested in learning about, and that would be really useful. Okay. Let's get on to digital badging, today's topic. And this is something I've been looking at for a little while, totally fascinated by it, to be honest. Today I want to cover a little bit of an introduction about digital badging. Then I want to talk through the 3 steps you need to take to get this going with your students. Step 1 is planning out the badges. What are the badges going to be for with your students? Then step 2 is actually creating the digital images, the image that's going to represent the thing that the student has earned. That's my favourite step, to be honest, because you get to be all creative and things. And then step 3 is working out how you're going to get the badges to the students once they've shown you that they've achieved the badge. So let's talk through this a little bit and talk about why, first of all, you might want to look at digital badging in the first place. I really think this is a great way to motivate students, and I've had lots of people get back to me and say that they have found this to be true. The thing with digital badges is that you can use it like gamifying your learning, but to me it's little bite-sized achievements which are so cool, and getting something for them. So what you're getting in this instance is essentially like a digital sticker. And this is really not a new idea at all. You would all be familiar with this, even if you were never a scout yourself. The Scouts have been doing this since the early 1900s. I actually looked that up. I thought, I wonder how long the Scouts have been doing their badging system for. And it has been for that long. So this is something that's been around for ages. And even if, again, you've never been a Scout, you would be familiar with the fact that you do something small to achieve a badge, and then you get this physical reward for it. So it's a great thing. Your students know this concept really well. Again, even if they haven't been a Scout in the past, they already know this concept from video gaming and other similar things like that. So almost all video games have some kind of achievements or unlocking or badges or something that you're going to earn along the way. And it can be really addictive. Now, if you're an adult and particularly a teacher, you've probably seen around things like other software companies who also use badging in their way of teaching you about the software. So Flipgrid on the bottom right there, Flipgrid has a lot of badges that you can earn. There are a whole stack of badges which some of you earn, some of them you actually earn automatically. So as soon as you've set up your first grid, it's not called a grid anymore, but when you've set up your first grid or your first topic, you get a badge for it, and it's kind of cool. And you start going, ooh, if I've earned that, maybe I can add to that and earn the next badge and the next badge. And it goes on from either what you're showing that you've done in Flipgrid or the amount of engagement that you're getting in Flipgrid. Wakelet similarly has a badging system. Screencastify, Screencastify, am I saying the right one? Yes, Screencastify at the top left there has a system of badging. You just need to watch a tutorial video, work through what it is that they're suggesting, and then you'll get your badge. Kahoot as well, and the Google certifications are a little bit of a bigger task to take on, but again, it's a similar thing. So you can get level 1 certified, level 2 certified, and so on. So what do you need to actually do this digital badging with your students? First of all, you need to work out the levels. What is it that you're going to award? And I think it's really important to work out very clearly what the criteria is going to be for each of those badges that the students earn. You need to have the images, the actual badge image files. And again, I mentioned earlier, they're easy to make. They're not hard at all. I'm going to show you step by step how you can do that with a couple of tools. And then lastly, you need to work out how you're going to distribute the badges. So I want to go through each of these 3 steps in order and talk about some of the options for each of them. All right, so first of all, planning your badges. So what are you going to give your badges for? You can really choose anything that you want. You can choose it for things like mastery of specific skills, but it might also be things like students displaying positive behaviour or values in your classroom. Music-specific ones are kind of easy to work out and to set up in your class. So this could be performance skills. It could be for demonstration of understanding about musical elements. It could be that students have shown competency in tech skills. I love this idea. And actually, one of the members of my community, Jennifer Jenkins, she did an example where she awarded or she set up a badge for, can you attach an MP3 to a Google Classroom assignment or something along those lines? Like it was a very specific small tech skill. I think it's a great thing. You could have one. I know a lot of people have issues with students clicking the turn in option in Google Classroom. Maybe you have a badge which is awarded every time a student turns in Google Classroom and has actually done the work rather than just clicking that turn in button for no reason at all. That could be something. So you're going to reward students for something, and small is good. You can just go down to bite-sized little achievements here. This badging thing is often referred to as micro-credentials, and micro is really what it is. It's small achievements. I want to show you some examples of badges that you could consider and things that I've seen teachers create. So this is a set of badges which I used. Actually, the first 5 of the ones on this page were badges that I used for a free 5-day tech challenge that I ran twice last year. So each of the days of the week that we ran this challenge, there was a different thing for people to take part in and to do. So after day 1, people achieved the drum sequencing level 1 badge by submitting to me a groove pizza rhythm of some sort. And then we had badges for all the other days as well, depending on what the work was that was required for that day. I created a couple, the last 2 there that you can see. I set up an escape room for a workshop that I was running, and I had badges which were the reward at the end of solving the escape room puzzle. So those were all created in Canva, and in fact, all of the ones that you're going to see from a graphic design point of view, I think pretty much I'm going to show you everything is actually from Canva. I'm going to talk about that as the design tool of my choice and why, and show you how easy it is to use in Canva. But I want to show you a few more examples of badges that teachers have created. And the examples that I'm going to show are actually from a Canva course that I've been running. And the teachers, as part of Module 3, I think it was, they all were creating digital badges. And some people just took off with this idea and made some fantastic badges. So here are just some of those examples. So this is Bonnie's set of recorder examples. So these are separate levels for achieving a recorder. So I'm not sure if she's using the Recorder Karate program, but I know a number of you are. So you could have Recorder Karate badges or for whatever system of recorder teaching that you're using. Jennifer Keating made a set of kind of musical element badges. So hers are quite different in style. I really liked these. They looked good. We did laugh about the genre level 1 image of that strange looking cat in the middle, but you know, I kind of like it. It's cool. Maria on the next page here had a set of badges, and you can see some of these ones are not for specific music skills, but for things like communication and character and collaboration and citizenship. Julie's examples here, you can see caring heart, magnificent musician, marvellous mover, super singer. And on this last page here, there's a bit of a range from a few different people. And I think that it's just really good to see. Oh, there's Jennifer's one, attach MP3 to Google Classroom. I was right at the top there. But I think it's just a great thing to see other people's examples because it gives you your own ideas. So you can see like Karma at the bottom left there, bucket drumming diva is one of her badges. Kaylin did one sight singing. Mary had a set of ukulele ones, so 2-chord songs and 3-chord songs and so on. Cherie's one at the top there I really liked. It was quite different and she had a set of theory badges. Jackie's on today, I think. Jackie's dog rhythms made me laugh a lot. And Christina had some chorus, set of chorus badges too. So Perfect Posture Chorus Superstar, and she had some other ones there too. So with the badge criteria or whatever it is, you need to decide that what is it for? And mapping out the criteria, like I mentioned, for each level is a really useful thing. And I think being very clear about that with your students so that they know what it is that they need to do to achieve each badge. Now, you can have badges which are sequential. So you go from level 1 to level 2 to level 3 to level 4. Or you might have a set of badges which don't need to be followed on from one another. You're just earning things in whatever order you want to earn them in. So here's an example from Kath. I've called Kath the tech ninja. She's been learning lots of stuff and she's a member of my community and she's here in Australia. And she's been doing some fantastic things with her students recently. So I said to her I was going to show her badges example. But you can see here she's really clearly got the criteria marked out for the students. So it's very obvious what they need to do for each of those levels. She's written them in the format of I can statements, and I know a lot of you are using those in your teaching. Kath told me that actually level 1, 2 and 3 are what is required of students who are in year 8 doing these badges, and level 4 and 5 actually goes beyond what's required of them for that. I think it's for the semester. So level 1, 2, 3, if they get to that level, they're at the place where they're supposed to be. If they get to level 4 and 5, they're going above and beyond. So this is great. She's inbuilt already the option for extension within the students because you know some of those kids are going to go right through this very quickly. So there's already that built in. All right, so creating your badges. Creating your badges is, I think, lots of fun and they're not hard to make. So I want to actually show you step by step how you can do this in Canva. I really think Canva is the best option for doing this. And Canva, if you're not familiar, is a free graphic design tool. It's something that you log into. It's an online graphic design tool. And it's free anyway. You can use it for free. But as an educator, you can actually apply for an education account. And this is going to give you access to a wider variety of images and elements that you can use in your design. You kind of get almost the same as their pro account. It's not identical, but almost the same as the things you get if you were paying for a pro account. So as an educator, what you will do is sign up first for the free account. And then I've given you a link. Actually, I will mention the link. Actually, maybe Amy can post the link to the Wakelet board in the chat window where I've got a set of links for today's session. And I've given you a link in there to the place where you will apply for an education account if you want to upgrade your Canva options there. Now, you don't have to use Canva by any means. You can use something else that you're more familiar with if you haven't ever used Canva before. Google Drawings, Slides, PowerPoint, Keynote, anything you like. Any graphic design tool. If you've been using something fancy, one of the Adobe options like Illustrator, if you know that one, use that one. It doesn't matter what you're using to create them. But I will say if you are not using sort of a pro design tool and you want to try something out, Canva is going to make your life a lot easier than even doing it in any of the other options I've shown here on the slide. So definitely give it a try. What you will end up with once you've made your design, like the ones you can see on the right there, is you will download this as a simple image file, just a PNG. And the tip is to save it with a transparent background so that you have the badge and it doesn't have a big white square around it because it just makes it a little bit more flexible to use when you're going to place it somewhere. All right, I'm going to show you how you can do this in Canva. This is going to be a little quick walkthrough. First of all, this is the the brief instructional, not video, this is the brief instructional graphic that I set up. And again, you'll get a copy of this in the slides. So this is the elements of a badge when you're making it. So essentially there's like a shield type shape in the background. There's a ribbon, which is the thing where the text goes over the top. There's the text itself to say what the badge is. And usually people add some kind of image or icon in the middle of the badge to illustrate what it's for. I'm going to show you a walkthrough. I've got a video that I made, and it's a walkthrough of me creating a badge from scratch in Canva. First of all, though, just why is Canva the best option? Why do I think Canva is the best option for this? It's free, as I mentioned earlier. The biggest reason that it's useful to do this in Canva is that there is a huge library of design elements built into Canva. So what are design elements, you might be asking? Those are things like the ribbon, the shield, the fonts, the icons that you can see on all of my badges. They're all things that I've made and created and found inside the Canva library. So if you can imagine, I know a number of you have been creating things in Google Slides, and a lot of you have been doing the Bitmoji virtual classrooms. You can do that in Google Slides and it's great, but you know what it's like when you want a pot plant for your Google Classroom. You need to then go and find a pot plant image. And yes, you can search within slides, and sometimes you'll find something you like and sometimes you won't. And sometimes there's no transparent background options, and you'll go off to Google search generally and you'll search for about 4 hours and come back and you've got your one pot plant done. And then you'll go off and search for the bookcase that you need. It can take a long time. So the thing that Canva has inside the design tool is all of those things. And to be honest, if you are doing a virtual classroom and you want a pot plant image, there's about 400 in the Canva library. So everything's there at your fingertips, and this is why it takes a lot less time if you're doing it inside Canva. So the other thing is with Canva is you can customize the elements. So you can see on the right there, the badges that I'm showing are all the same shape, but they're all different colors. So I chose one shield and then I made a pink version, a blue version, a purple, a red one, a yellow one, an orange one, and so on. And I just stuck with the same consistent design, and I just changed the colors for all of the different things, for the different levels or the different achievements that the students are working towards. And the last thing with Canva is that from within Canva, you can click a button which will allow you to download your design with a transparent background. So this means you don't have to download it and then go somewhere else like remove.bg, which is a fantastic website, but you don't need to do that if you're using Canva. You can actually just download it straight away with the transparent background. All right, so I'm going to play this video for you. It's silent, so I will narrate over the top while it's going, and it's going to show me creating a badge inside Canva. And you can see here, before I hit play, you can see here that I've just set up a blank template space. It's a square shape. And you can see on the left-hand side, I'm about to show you how I've searched for shields, and I'm going to add one of those to the template, and then you'll see me work through the rest of the steps here. So here's me in my blank template. I've searched in the search box at the top for the word shield, found one I liked, and I'm just resizing it and positioning it. Next thing, I'm searching for the word ribbon, and I'm going to go and find something that I like. Again, resizing it. Now, I could have changed the color of the shield. I didn't, but I can change the color of the ribbon as well. You can choose to leave it as is or not. And you can just see me here changing the color of the ribbon. The next thing I'm going to do is add a text box. If you've ever used things like Google Slides to design materials, it's very similar. I can change the color of the text. I can drag it into place. And then I'm going to search in the elements section. I'm going to search for a ukulele image, and again, choose something and resize it. So that's the whole thing done. Then last step, download, click the transparent background option and download it. And it's going to end up on my desktop or in my downloads folder, ready for me to use with my students. Once you've created the one, you can then duplicate and change the colors and change the text, and you're done pretty quickly. Now, I do want to mention, if you are a member of the Midnight Music community, there are a number of templates in there of Canva elements. So what I did was I went through and I chose all of my favorite shield elements and my favorite ribbon elements. And this is just to save you time. You don't have to use them, but I thought it would be great just to save scrolling through literally hundreds of options for shields. Getting a short list can be a great place to start. So I've put those together. If you've done the Canva course, you would have seen them in there, and they're available for anyone to use, whether you're doing the Canva course or not. Now, if you don't want to use Canva, you want to use something else, I'm going to just show you two that I made not in Canva. I made the one at the top left in Keynote, which is roughly the same as PowerPoint. You could absolutely do it in PowerPoint as well. So I found that shield shape in the Keynote Shapes library or list. I just went to the Shapes menu and I found that. That was the only option, though, that really looked sort of like what I wanted it to look like. PowerPoint has an extensive library of shapes, much bigger than Keynote, so you'll probably find a few more options in there. So I found that shield, I changed the color, I found actually I didn't find a ribbon, I built that ribbon from scratch. So in Canva it's already done for you and it looks 3D, but I made this one from scratch with a rectangle, a triangle, and then two more triangles to make the little ribbon shape on the sides. Difficult to explain. It was really fiddly and it took quite a while. It was much quicker in Canva. The recorder image was not in Keynote, obviously. I had to find that online, download it, then add it into my Keynote file. So, you know, it was okay, but it took a lot longer. It was much quicker in Canva. The one on the bottom right, I just wanted to do one in Google Drawings as a test. And I don't love it so much, to be honest, because really the options were so limited. There were not many shapes to choose from. The best I could come up with was that it's a rectangle with a triangle shape at the bottom. It's not really a shield shape. It was okay. I also searched for a recorder picture within Google Drawings, the same way you do in Slides, where you just search it's like a selection of images, which are safe search images. I found that one. It's okay. It's not as great as the one I found in Canva, and I added some text. So again, it was all right. And again, it took me quite some time to make it look that way. Anyway, it's still possible. So if you want to explore those options, feel free. I also just want to show you this really simple style. I made this one also in Keynote on my Mac, and it's not got the fancy text and the ribbon and a shield. It's just kind of more like a sticker look to it. It can work perfectly well. So if you want to stick with something of a more simple design, that is an option to go for too. All right, so the third step in this process is to distribute the badges. And I'm going to tell you now, this is the longest section of this webinar today because I've got a lot of options for you. And hopefully there'll be a range of options which will suit different people in different scenarios and how complex or not you want to make this process. Hopefully everyone's going okay. Okay, I can see the chat windows going there. Everything's looking good. Oh, I've lost my screen share. Hold on. There we go. Something happened then. I think we're still on. All right, so distributing the badges. There are kind of like two parts to this process. One is that you're going to send the badge image to the student, the actual image file. Somehow you want to get it to the student. And then the second part of this, which is sort of optional really, is that the student is going to put that image somewhere to display it. And you don't have to do that part of it. You may just send the image to them and be done with it. But it is kind of nice to have somewhere where the student can collect their badges together in one place. Now, the way that you do both of these things depends on a number of factors. So it can depend on the age of the students. I'm going to talk a little bit about things you might do with younger students versus older students. One of the big deciding factors on particularly how you get the images to the students is how many are you doing badging with. If you're just doing a single class, you may consider different options to if you are going to do this with 400 students in a go. So again, you just need to think about what you're going to do it with. You may also want to consider what platforms you're already using. So are you using Google Classroom? Are you using Microsoft Teams? Are you using some other platform like Seesaw or any of the other LMS type platforms, Schoology, Canvas, and so on and so on? And then the last thing I'll mention is, do you want or need the badge evidence/criteria to be public? Now, I know a lot of you probably read that and think, why on earth do I want this student information to be public? Well, I'm referring here more to older students and adults. So if you are someone who delivers professional development, I'm going to show you an option at the end, which is particularly suitable for that age group, i.e. adult people. Now, first of all, sending the image to the students. I feel like a lot of people overthink this in a big, big way. So when you're sending an image to a student, you can send that image in whatever way you would normally send a file to your students. It could be a simple email. It can be an email to a single student. It could be an email to a group of students who have all achieved the same badge at the same time. In addition, or sort of separately to that, you could do it via your LMS. So you can, for instance, in Google Classroom, post a message to a select group of students, or to a single student, or to a whole class at once. You can do a similar thing in Seesaw, which I'll talk through in a moment as well. All of those LMS systems have a way to message or send things to students through that platform. So you're just sending them the image file at this point. I am going to show you a few ninja options, and this is particularly useful if you're working with bigger groups and you need to send 100 badges at once, or even 10 badges at once. There are some really great ways that you can do this very quickly and easily. And then displaying the badges, there are again a number of options for displaying badges. So this is the part where it's just kind of nice to do. Once students have received their badges, what are they going to do with them? They need to have a place to put them. They don't need to be honest. It's nice if they have a place to put them. So one thing you can consider is literally printing them out and physically placing them on a chart of some sort. Now, when I say chart, this could be a chart which is an individual student chart, which only that student sees, or it could be one with the whole class. And I'm going to talk a little bit about why or why not you might choose that option in a moment. The physical option is really good for very young students, and I'm going to show you one example of that in a moment. But in addition to the physical option, the digital option is also a great thing. And I suspect that more of you are going to be onto that second option there, the digital place. And then again, I'm going to show you some ninja ways that you can display badges as well. So let's just look at a few examples. The lovely Shauna Longo, who's a great friend of mine and Amy's as well, and I know many of you are familiar with Shauna's work. She's been doing some badging with her. She's working now with kindergarten. She's K through 2, I think, now teaching. So this was an example that she said I could use, which shows the kindergarten music badges that she's been doing with her students. And she started this earlier this year. To be honest, Shauna and I think Amy was there too, we were all really into this digital badging thing, and we actually went to a session or two at the International Society for Technology in Education conference, which was on last year. And I was very determined to get to this digital badging session, and I feel like the others may have just come along because, oh, that sounds kind of interesting, let's all go. And by the end of it, we were all deciding we are totally going to do that digital badging. And we saw some great things at that conference. So Shauna did go ahead and did this with her students, I think in the spring. So what she does is she has printed physical badges which the students place, they glue onto a chart that they each have. So each of them has an individual chart. You can see the space up the top where there's the green empty ribbon. That's for their name. And once they achieve the badge, they get given a printed one and they glue it on. So on the right-hand side, you can see what it would look like if they had completed everything. And I think Shauna also mentioned that she has a bigger option, a bigger version of this on the wall of the classroom. And essentially, because she's working with kindergartners, they kind of all achieve the badge at the same time. They do the unit of work, they've completed the unit of work, and they get given the badge. So I think all of them just get it at the end of the unit, but it's a physical thing for this age group. Now, if you wanted to go with a digital version, sort of this same thing, Here's a really simple looking way, and you can get fancier with this if you want to. I'm going to show you some more fancy options in a moment, but this is the simple version. So I know sometimes it's easier to see what the really simple version looks like. All I did for this was to set up a table in Google Docs. You can do the same thing in Word if you're not a Google school. I inserted a table. I put some headings in where each of the badges were labelled, so level 1 through 8. I put an empty row underneath, and then I dragged the images into each box. So each student can have their own chart, and once the student receives their image, their badge image, they can drag it into the chart and keep track of what they've earned along the way. Now, you could do a whole class version of this where I've called it the grade 6 wall of awesome, where every student is listed on a single chart and you as the teacher could actually manage that. So this would save you needing to actually send the badges to students. You would know that Maddie has earned level 2 and you would then drag the badge into Maddie's spot on the chart. Now, this is not going to suit everybody, I think, and to be honest, it's not my favourite option, mainly because of that student privacy thing, the competitive nature of some kids and the embarrassment level of some kids who have not achieved the same as everyone else. You've really got to weigh up, is this going to work for the students you're working with the age group that you're working with the types of things that the badges are for, all of that. But I suspect for most of you, the individual chart option is going to be a better one, but this is an option too. So you've seen the simple table option, Google Doc or a Word doc, table, drag the badges in. I just want to show you kind of prettier options here. And I made a series of charts inside Canva, and they were then downloaded as a PNG file, and I put that in as a background into Google Slides. You could do the same thing in PowerPoint or in Keynote on a Mac. So the chart itself is the background, and then the students drag the images of the badges into place on the chart once they've achieved them. So you can see the completed version on the right here. I'm going to show you 3 different charts. First of all, you'll see the empty chart. So here's the first one. So I set this one up. Again, I designed this in Canva using one of the templates. I stole a template, which was actually, it was one of the pages from a presentation file, kind of like a corporate presentation, and I totally adjusted it so it looked a little bit more school-friendly, relabeled things, put nice colours in and so on. So here's the empty chart that the student would have to work with. And then once they've dragged their badges in, it's going to look something like this. And so they drag them from their desktop computer, from their Google Drive, from whatever system you're using, and put them into the chart. Here's another one. So here's the empty chart, and there's instructions of where they're going to place the badges. And then once they've dragged them in, it's going to look something like this. Again, I just took a template from one of the presentation files. It's like a timeline presentation template or something like that. I'm going to show you one last option here. Here's a third one. Again, musical elements. I don't know why the circles are the heights they are. There's no representation of there's no hierarchy with these badges, but it was just a sort of a good way to display them. And then here's the filled option where they've been dragged in. So this can work really well. You can just create that background in Canva for the students, adjust it to however many badges you're working with them, and then get them to drag them into place. So back to Kath. I mentioned Kath earlier and showed you her template. So hers was actually a design that was done in Canva as well. And I just wanted to talk through how she actually used this with her students. So she created that template with the criteria on it, and that also became the place where the students would put their badges once they had achieved them. So Kath I'm assuming made a copy of the template here, and actually selected each badge and dragged the transparency slider down. So you can see the badge there, but it's transparent. And this is so that they become like placeholders. The students know where they're going to drag their badge. They know what it's going to look like when they get it, and they drag it into place. Again, she used Google Slides, made the template a background, and then the students put their badges in over the top of that. So Kat's using Google Classroom. She set this as an assignment for the students, sent out that background template. I believe she also sent out badge 1 at the same time, and you can see this on the next slide here. So you can see she's posting an assignment in Google Classroom, and then they're going to add level 1 badge, which they've achieved at that time. So really simple. It doesn't have to be too complex at all. I want to show you another display method. So instead of dragging images into a template, another option is to use Google Sites. Can I tell you how excited I was when I set this up and it looked really pretty? You know, one of those things you do at home, like when you're by yourself and you achieve this tech thing and you get really excited and you have no one to share it with. And I think I brought one of my boys over and said, come and look at this awesome thing that I've done. And I know that their reply is just going to be, yeah, that's great, Mum, well done, and not knowing what their significance was. Anyway, I will explain to you what this is. So on the right-hand side, and I'm going to show you what this looks like kind of behind the scenes in a moment, but on the right-hand side, this is a Google site. So Google, you know, has inbuilt websites that you can build. And I think when people hear about building a website, it feels like it's a bigger than Ben-Hur thing, like a really big official thing. But honestly, you can use Google Sites in the same way that you use Google Docs. It can just be a thing that you use with your students. And the way I've used it here, because I saw this tip in a video, can't take credit for it, is that the Google Sites that you see on the right-hand side, the group of badges under each heading is actually the contents of a Google folder. And it's because the folder is embedded in the site, if I add anything to that folder, it's automatically going to show the new thing on the site. It's like magic. It's really cool. So I made a very clean looking site and I've got 2 groups of badges on there. You need to make sure when you're in the site building view, in the edit view of the site, that you turn on grid view. I'm going to show you what this looks like in a moment, so that the images look like images. And if you don't turn that on, it looks like a list of files and very boring. You just need to change the setting on your Google site and then you're all good. So this is what it looks like behind the scenes. So you can see on the left, that's my Google Drive folder where the badges are stored. So you can imagine if I was a student, I've got my badges that I've achieved, I've received them from my teacher, they're all in a single folder. And then I go and build a Google site. And this is if you are able to build a Google site, like if your students are able. I will just say that I've heard some districts do not have that option turned on. So just be warned, don't get your hopes up too high if that's not an option for your students. But if it is, it's a great one. So on the right-hand side, when you are viewing the Google site that's been set up, you can see that the badges will display on the Google site automatically from whatever's in that folder. So on the next slide, I just wanted to show you what it looks like when you haven't got grid view turned on. So on the left, you can see I'm in Google Sites. I'm putting together the Google Sites. I've got my musical elements heading. Underneath that, I have embedded the folder, but it currently shows all of those images in list view. On the right-hand side, you can see me changing the setting. You basically click on that folder, the embedded folder, you go to the cog, and you choose grid view from the view type. And then the badges are going to display beautifully. All right, let me just go back there for a minute and pause. I hope that's a really useful one. I'm going to show you one more ninja thing with sites a little bit later on about how to get all the badges into a folder for the student auto-magically, because there is a great option for doing that, but you don't have to use that option. It can just be something that you get your students to do. Okay, so here's another option, and this is an option which will save you sending the images to the students in the first place. This option involves, back to that Google Doc with the table in it, as a teacher, something you can consider doing is actually putting all the badges into the table up front for the students, and you make them grayscale so it looks like they are not yet unlocked. And again, this is something that's familiar to students. A lot of video games have this. You can see the badges there, but they look grayed out or like a ghost version. And what you can do with students is give them a copy. Everybody gets a copy of the Google Doc with all the badges already in it, and they are all grey. And then as the students achieve them, all they need to do is go into their copy of the Google Doc and they change it back to colour to show that they've achieved it or unlocked it. So what does that look like? How do you do this? How do you make them grey and then back to colour again? So here are some instructions. The grey, to make them grey, you as the teacher will set the table up, you'll put all the badges in there and you get that done first. Then for each one of them, you will select the badge, you will open up image options. That's number 2 on my picture there. Number 3 is you will go to the recolor drop-down menu, and you can see at number 4, that is the grayscale option out of all those options in the list there. So you click on that and it makes your badge grey. And then you send it out to the students with all of them greyed out like that. And then this is what the students will do to recolor them. Basically the same process. They're going to select the image, they go to image options, and then they find that same drop-down menu and they click on no recolor, which is the very top thing. When you are looking at no recolor, it doesn't look like it's a button. It's just some text there. Just click on that. That's going to change it back to color again. So this is a good thing. It takes out one of the steps, which is sending the images to the badges, the image of the badge to the students in the first place. Okay, let's talk Seesaw for a minute. I had a little crash course in Seesaw, doing this in Seesaw on the weekend, checked some things with Amy because Amy is the Seesaw expert. And yeah, I think I've got it sorted, so it's all good now. There are a couple of ways you can do this in Seesaw. If you're using Seesaw with your students, and each of them have drawbacks and positive things about them. So essentially, you can either send the badges, the individual badges to the students by using the post student work option. I'm going to show that on the next screen. When you do that, the badge image will get posted to the student journal so they can see it. And if you are a Seesaw user, you'll know what I mean by that. They will be able to see the badge. Their parents, whichever family members might be part of their journal, will also be able to see that they have earned the badge. It looks kind of cool because it shows up in their kind of stream of activity. You can see clearly there is a badge there that they have been awarded. Now, there's another way which I want to talk about, which is to use the assign activity option. So you essentially set up an activity for the students and you kind of provide the badges ahead of time, all of the badges to the students within the assignment, and they drag them into place, similar way to what I've shown you with the Canva templates, where they drag it onto a chart into place. Now, there's a couple of drawbacks with using that method, but let's talk through both of them in a bit more detail. So in Seesaw, that first option, post-student work, the first thing that you're going to do as the teacher is click on the Add button. You choose post-student work. Then you get an option of what file format are you posting to them. And you're going to choose, in this case, image, because it's an image file. So that's number 2. And then number 3, you'll get that screen where if you wanted to add anything to it or edit it in some way, you could do. But if you don't need to, you'll just click that green check at the top right. Then the next step after this is that you get to choose who is this going to. So this is great. If you have an entire class and you want to award everyone in the class the same badge at the same time, you can select that very top option, assign this to all students in my class all at once. Or if you just want to assign it to a few students or a single student, you can just choose them from the list. And then after that, you're going to see, the student will see it in their journal. And that's what it looks like on the right. And you can see I've assigned this one to Barney, Fred and Josie, and they have received their badge for Timbre there. Now, that's one option. That's just posting it as student work. The second option is that activity option, which I mentioned. And I just want to credit Erin Kozakis. Hopefully I said that correctly. Don't know if anyone knows Erin, or Erin is present at the moment, but well done, because I saw this and asked Amy a couple of questions about it, and then Amy suddenly took off with the idea and made her own version instantly within about like 10 minutes of me sending it to her. It was pretty funny. So with this option, I did a little search in the Seesaw activity library just to see what other teachers are doing with badging. So I liked Erin's option because what she has here is a 2-page activity. And on the first page, which is essentially like a slide, you can see that she has a set of badges which the students need to consider. What have we done today? Which badge might we have worked towards? Which ones have we earned? Then on the second page, which is the important one really, she has all the badge images on the right-hand side, which I'll show you in a moment, and the students get to drag the one that they have achieved onto a vest. So this is a bit like the Scouts idea again. So this is what it looks like inside that second page of Erin's activity. You can see the vest is there on the screen, and on the right-hand side are all the badges, the supply of badges. So the students can actually drag it on, or they can duplicate it and drag the duplicate version onto the vest there. So again, this kind of saves you as a teacher sending out individual badges each time students have earned them. They're all there for the students and you're going to drag them on. So Amy's version, which she made like, I don't know what time it was for her. No, actually, it would have been morning. It was late night for me. So Amy made her version, which was recorded stars, which the students drag onto the lanyard. Now, Amy loves this. She said she loved this idea because that's what they would be doing in person if she was in the classroom with her students. If you're in the remote situation, this is a great way to replicate that thing. Now, the biggest drawback of this method that Amy mentioned to me is that the star images, the badge images, are not locked down on the slide, on the activity itself. So this, because the students need to drag them onto the lanyard. Now, the problem with this is, and I know a number of you will have had this experience in Google Slides as well, it's very easy for the students to accidentally grab the edges of the image and resize it. I say accidentally, some of them may do it on purpose, to be honest, but very easy for them to make the size of the badge massive on the screen or small, or kind of lose it altogether. You know, sometimes they resize them tiny, 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 and then you're like, where is that image gone? Anyway, this is the drawback of this option. So you've just got to weigh up, is it going to work with, I mean, you know your students best. Is it going to work with the age group that you're working with? You know, I was going to say behaviour, you know what I mean? You are going to know whether it's going to work with your students or not. So that's it. But you still they get to still put them in a nice sort of a chart or a place or whatever it is. I really liked this option. So I really want to show you Amy's one, because I know a lot of you are doing recorder levels with your students in different ways, and this could be a great option for you to consider. And even this concept, if you're not using Seesaw, this is the sort of thing you could still do in Google Slides, or you can make a background which shows the lanyard and the badges of the stars that the students are going to achieve, and use Google Slides to deliver that to the students. Okay, Ninja options. So I want to talk through a few Ninja options, and these are particularly ways to get the badges to the students easily. Inside my community, there were a few of us having a discussion, Jennifer Jenkins and Christina, I think as well, maybe someone else, maybe Kath. We were talking about bit badging is great, but what if I've got to award 400 students a level 1 recorder badge or whatever it is? It can be hard, and you know, to be manually doing that one at a time is a very difficult thing. So I want to just talk through a few options which will allow you to award badges en masse if you want to, but you can actually have control over it. So it could be a single student, or it could be 10, or it could be 200 all at once. So the first one is this, it's an add-on for Google Sheets, and it's called Magic Digital Badges. It used to just be called Digital Badges. So if you search for it and you don't find it straight away, it's been renamed Magic Digital Badges now. But if you do see Digital Badges and it has the same icon there, it is the same thing. I particularly mention that because there are a couple of YouTube videos and it's just called Digital Badges in the earlier YouTube videos. So the way this works, I'm going to try and explain this. It's beyond the scope of this webinar to run through this step by step by step, and I'm actually going to make a video for the members of the community which will walk through this step by step. But I've also linked, the creator of the add-on has actually made a YouTube video which goes through how you do this. So let me try and describe this process. Essentially, you'll have a Google Sheets document which is empty. You install the add-on, which is free. And if you've never done that before, you just go to the add-ons menu, and you search for a new add-on, you basically get taken to the Google Marketplace, you find this add-on and you click install, and that's it. It's a very quick process. Actually, one thing I will mention before you go and try and do that and find you can't, it depends on your district settings. For those of you within a district, particularly in the States, I'm going to say, or for those who are in a department in Australia using department setup for laptops and accounts and so on, some places have it locked down and you are unable to install add-ons, and so you may just go and need to request this from your IT person, or put some sort of, just plead for it if you really think you need to use it. So you install the add-on, you have a sheet and you run this add-on, and essentially it gives you kind of like a template setup. Now, the effect of this is once you are all set up with your badges in the template, and I'll show you what it looks like in the moment, but once you've got your badges set up and your student names and email addresses in there, the way that you award a badge is simply to type Y for yes into a cell next to the student's name. Now, this means if you've used Sheets before, you know you can type Y into a single cell, but you could also select 200 and then type Y once, and it instantly does all of them at the same time. So this is why it's a very quick process. Once you've done that and done a little bit of magic by pressing a button, the badges for the students, from the student's point of view, the badges will instantly end up in their own personal student folder for these badges in the student Google Drive. So the add-on takes care of everything for you. This is what it looks like. Essentially, you have a Sheets template. If you can see down the bottom, there's a pupil details tab, a badge details tab, and a leaderboard, which is an optional extra thing. So in the pupil details tab, you type the names of your students in there, you put their email addresses in, and of course, if you are working within a school system, you can ordinarily download that data in one go and put it into the sheet. You'll find it as a CSV file from your school system and put it in there quickly. Then you have the names of the badges going across the top, and what you can see is the word copied, or the letter Y, underneath the ones in my example there. The ones that say copied are badges that I've already assigned and they've been sent to the students, and the ones with the letter Y are the ones I want to award today. So to award badges in this template, all I do is type that letter Y, and then you can see on the right there's a special menu which is for this add-on. I type Y and then I click on the Assign Badges button, and that is the thing that triggers the add-on to send the image to the student folder. Now, when you first use this add-on, it will actually set up all the folders you need for you. Can you see at the top on the right-hand side there's a button called Generate Drive Folders. So the first time you open this up, you click that button, magically folders get set up for students, and what they are is a shared folder. It's a shared folder with you and the student, and basically from that point on you don't need to generate the folders anymore. They're already set up, and you can keep adding badges throughout your year to that same folder without generating new ones. So each time you want to award a badge, you just come into this sheet, you type Y in whichever cell it is that you're awarding, and then you click that Assign Badges button on the right there. You can also send the student an email at the same time, but you don't have to. That's an optional thing. So the second part of this, I just want to show you the other tab. So this was the pupil details tab. The other part of this piece in the puzzle is how does the add-on know where the images are and what images to use for each badge? This is because you have set up the images ahead of time. Now, again, the way this works is before you use this at all, you need to have your images done and you need to put them somewhere in Google Drive. Once you've done that, each of those image files will have a file ID, and that is explained in really well in the YouTube video that you can watch where the creator of this app walks you through the process. So you'll basically put the file ID into the spreadsheet next to the badge name, and that is how the add-on knows which image to send for which badge at the right time. Okay, so you can see here, to award the badge, just type Y into the cell, click Assign, and it's done. the badges magically, I like to say, go into this folder which has been set up specifically by the add-on, and so you can see them all there. Now, can you see on the left-hand side the list of folders, digital badges folders that was set up by the add-on magically, and underneath that you can see that there's a folder for each of the students in my class. Now, one of the key things is that they're ordered by class name. So when you fill out the class name in the sheet, it's really useful to put that information in, because the badges, the badge folders will be grouped correctly inside your Google Drive, and for the students too. So that's an overview. I know that's really hard to kind of get a feel for how it works, but do go and watch the video and you'll get a much clearer picture of it. Now, a second part of this, so remember I showed you Google Sites earlier? Remember how we were talking about you have a folder with all the badge images in it, the student does, and then they can display it on a Google site. So here we are again with the Google site that I showed you earlier. So once you've set this system up with the Magic Digital Badges add-on, every time you award another badge to the student, if they have it showing in a Google site, it's going to magically update in their Google site. And it's like a trophy case, which just magically shows the newest thing. So if they were to refresh the page, if they already had the site open and they were looking at it and they refreshed the page and you had just assigned them something, a badge I should say, then it's going to show in their folder. So I love this system. I think it's really cool. It's just a great quick way to get things into a nice display. And because it's dynamic, it will keep updating automatically. So you don't need to kind of go and add things, add images to the sites. It will just automatically update. Do you love this? I hope everyone's excited by this. I'm not looking at the chat window at the moment, so hopefully that's the thing. I want to say one thing as well, because I've seen this a lot in groups, and I actually commented just recently in a group. When you are looking for this add-on, the one called Magic Digital Badges, you need to just understand that there's a difference between add-ons and extensions. So a lot of people talk about Chrome extensions. This is not a Chrome extension. It's not a tool that works for the whole of Chrome. This is just something which is an add-on specifically for Google Sheets. So when you open up Sheets, you'll go to the add-ons menu inside Sheets itself, and then look for it in there. You'll see the place where you can install a new add-on, and you'll install it there. And then it lives there. Once it's installed, it lives in that menu. So it's not an extension. There are two separate places where Google allows you to look for extensions or add-ons. They are not in the same marketplace, if you know what I mean. You don't search for them in the same place. So if you go to the Chrome extension store or whatever they call it, you won't find this add-on there because it's not an extension. You need to go to the add-ons place. All right, just a brief thing there. Let me show you another option, which is called the Flippity Badge Tracker. Now, I don't know if you know this website, Flippity, and to be honest, I only discovered it maybe a few months ago now, and it was because one of the guest writers for my blog, Katie Miller, she wrote about it in a blog post, and I was reading her blog post that she had written for my blog. And I thought, what is this Flippity thing that she speaks of? I looked it up, and sure enough, it's this amazing place where there are a whole stack of Google Sheets templates that you can use to do magic things with. And they have a badge tracker. So when you go to flippity.net, you need to sort of scan through all the different things on that homepage, but you'll see somewhere on there, badge tracker. And what you can do again is you download, this one's not an add-on, it's a little bit different. You download a Google Sheets template. Again, you need to set up your badge details within this Google Sheets template. And it's a little bit like the Magic Digital Badges one. To award students, you type an X into a cell, and then rather than them getting a physical actual image file sent to them, it actually just displays on a web page. And this is what the web page looks like on the right there. So you'll see that all the possible badges are across the top there, and then I can click on a student name which is underneath and see which badges has that student earned so far. So this is what it looks like when you are on the sort of the page where all the badges are. Then I just want to show you what it looks like. One option is that you can click on a badge. So if I click on Recorder Level 4, I can see all of the students that have earned that badge. So that's what this looks like on the left-hand side there. So I click on the badge name and it shows me which students have earned this badge. In addition to that, I can click on a student name. So this is a slightly different view. I can click on one of the students. I've clicked on Alan's name and you can see that on the right there. And I can see which badges Alan has earned so far. Now, I've got this view up here specifically because Flippity does a couple of extra things which I really like. One is that you can award a partial badge. So can you see on the right-hand side there, level 3 is 50% complete. So if your badges involve a little bit more than a simple task from the student's point of view, you might listen to them play, for instance. So this is a recorder badge. You might listen to them play and you're like, you're almost there, but you're not quite there, or you need a bit more work, or you've done one piece out of 2 pieces that you need to do for this badge level. Whatever it is, you can choose. You can actually award a partial badge. So it can show that Alan is 50% towards the earning his level 3 badge here. Now, in addition to that, on the left-hand side, you can see Recorder Level 1 has a star on it. Now, you can have 1, 2, or 3 stars added onto a badge, and you can choose really what they represent. So a way that you might use this star system is that if the students are doing something towards a badge and they do it more than once, and this is a great thing for music, of course, right? So if it's a rhythm thing that they need to do, let's say the student does it once and they achieve their badge, but hey, they want to do it again and do it better. So you can actually award them a star on top of their badge to say they've done it more than once, and a second time and a third time. Or you could use the stars for the quality at which they earned the badge. So if you might have 5 students all achieving level 1, but one of the students plays their pieces particularly well, and you might want to add a star to their badge as well. So Flippity gives you that option. I'll show you what this looks like in the spreadsheet view and how easy it is to add a star to a badge, or even to add award a partial badge. So actually, do I have that? I don't think I did include that. I'm so sorry. I'm just looking ahead to my next slide. All right, I didn't include the behind the scenes Flippity, but I can bring it up when we're in the Q&A time if people want to see that. Then in addition to the view where you're looking at a single student, as a teacher, if you want to, and again, using your discretion, you may want to display this to the whole class, who has achieved which badges. You can actually view the badges for all of your class at once if you want to. Now, I'm going to go back one step because I do want to mention something. When you click through to a single student name and you look at their badges, the first place you're taken to, the first page you're taken to, is a page which you could send the link to for the student to look at themselves. So each student can have a link to their own page where they can view their own badges. Now, the very first one you get to in Flippity when you click a student name allows the students to go back and see everyone else's, and you may not want that. You may actually want it to be sort of a private view. There's 2 different options open to you. One is that I discovered this tiny little button, which wasn't very obvious the first time I looked, tiny little button which allows me to open up the student view in a different window, which doesn't have any way for them to get back to the whole class view. So again, in the Q&A time, if people want to see this, just let me know and I'll open it up and show you how that works. But that was a much better option, I thought, than the students being able to navigate back to the whole class list or to see what anyone else has achieved. So that's one thing. The second thing is there is an option inside Flippity for you to password protect student badges, and you can just add a password into the spreadsheet, and then the only way that they can be viewed is by entering the password, which of course you would just give out to the student. There were a couple of drawbacks with that method. If you password protect, you as a teacher, you can't view, on this next one I showed you the full class list of badges. Any that are password protected won't show up on that page. So I didn't feel like that was as useful, but it's an option that's there for you. Okay, the last thing I want to talk about, and we're going okay for time. I felt like this was going to go a lot longer than it has. So I feel happy we're towards the end. The last thing I want to talk about is using what I'm calling official badging platforms. And this is a fantastic option, and I've said it's perfect for older students and adults. You don't have to only use it with older students and adults. It can totally be for younger students too. But I feel like it's probably going to be maybe a bit of overkill if you're working, say, with elementary students. If you want to keep things simple and have a Google Doc where the students display their badges, go ahead and do that. However, there is this option open to you as well. So there are platforms out there, and you can search. There are many more than I've just mentioned Badgr and Credly here. There's one called Accredible. There's a whole stack of badging platforms. And these are platforms which allow you as a provider to set up your own profile. So for me, Midnight Music, I set my Midnight Music profile up on Badgr. And then again, I set up my badges in the platform. And I'll show you what one of them looks like on the next slide. And then I award the badges through the platform. Now, why would you want to do this rather than just keeping things simple in a Google Doc or a Word document and so on? Well, the reason is that these platforms, I think all of them now use what's called the open badge format. And this has significance because it means that you can display any badges that you are awarded through these platforms can be displayed in places like LinkedIn, on your email signature. You can use them for your CV. They become like public, if the provider allows them to be public and you want them as a recipient to be public, they can become public pieces of evidence of learning or achievements of some kind. So let me show you what one of the badges looks like. So again, I use this for the free challenges that I ran last year, actually just for the second one. I don't think I did it for the first one. So I did this because I thought it would be very useful for the teachers doing the challenge to have some place where someone else, like the person from their district who needs to see what did you do over summer when you were learning stuff and doing professional development, this was a way to have allowed them to show the other person what it is they did to earn that badge. The other part of this is that as the recipient, you actually have a link to your evidence, to your artifact that you've submitted to earn that badge. And so this can be a great thing, like someone can come along and look at your CV and say, oh, great, you've earned, the video game level 1 music badge. Maybe that's not so suitable for your CV, but they can actually click through and read what was the criteria this person had to, go through to earn the badge. And then they can even click a link which shows them the thing you made to earn that badge. So it's a great way to sort of have evidence of learning on a more public scale if you want it to be. And even within these badging platforms, you still have the option of not making them public or making them public. The recipient has that option as well. But it's just a really, really useful thing to know about. And if you search for digital badging, the first thing that comes up, to be honest, is a lot of these badging platforms and how to use them and what they mean, what they are for. So just quickly before I leave this, essentially when you're using any of these platforms, you'll set up your provider profile as the teacher or provider of the badges. You'll add your badges. So you actually need to upload the written information about the criteria. It can be a sentence or two plus some bullet points. That's what I did. Then you will upload the image, which is the badge. And then when you go to award the students or teachers, if you're doing PD, you will actually go into the badging platform and you can either do it one by one or in bulk. And essentially you're just entering the name of the person and their email address, and then they get an email with the image and the link to the place where that award lives online. So I did it in bulk. The bulk option with Badgr is that you have a spreadsheet with all the people you want to award in one go, and you click a button which says upload and you upload all those images at once, all the information at once, and then click a button and they all get the email at the same time. So that was quite quick. I did it in batches. So every few days when people had earned badges, I just waited till there was maybe 20 to award, and then I did them all in one go. So that was quite good and simple to use as well. And free, I should say, Badgr is free. I'm not sure about all the other platforms, but Badgr was definitely a free option for me to use. Okay, I did have a couple of other ways of distributing badges, but to be honest, I felt like I had enough when we got to this point, so I'll leave it at that. There are other options for you to give out badges, and you really need to choose what works for you and for the students that you're working with and for the platforms that you're already using. So what's next? And I just want to say, if you're going to tackle this, if you're going to have a go at this, and I recommend doing it, yeah, give it a go, just start really simple. Start with one set of badges and maybe just with one class. Use one class as a guinea pig class. You probably already have a class or two that you do like that. You do that with. The class that kind of things usually go well with. Choose one. Decide that criteria ahead of time, and then do the fun part of making your badges. And then choose a distribution option to try out. And if the first one doesn't work for you, or for whatever reason, it's too time consuming or whatever it is, or you just feel like you want to try one of the other options, then go ahead and try another option. But give it a go. Just one set is a great place to start. Now, I just want to mention, if you are a member of the Midnight Music community already, or if you'd like to be, there are Canva badge and chart templates. There's those element collections that my short list of ribbons that I like and shields that I like. If you want to access those, they're all inside the community already. There is the full Canva course as well. So this was part of module 3 in the Canva course. So you can have a look at that if you want more information and step-by-step processes in there. I've also given, I'm going to also add, I don't think I've done it yet, access to Google Docs templates, and I feel like I might have added one to the Wakelet collection of links for this session too, which I'll post in the chat window if Amy hasn't already. Again, in the community forum, the other day I just posted a video of me doing a Flippity walkthrough overview of how Flippity works and what it looks like. And I'm going to do proper tutorials for the Magic Digital Badges and Flippity as well. So those will be coming soon. Now, if you're not already a member and you'd love to join us, Amy and I are in there every day answering questions. So if you've got specific things that you want answered, there's a forum where you can post a question and you'll get our replies and probably replies from other teachers as well. And there's a lot of courses in there already, and it's a growing thing. I didn't mention earlier that I think it was on the slide, I didn't mention that Amy's actually going to do a Seesaw course for me, which is fantastic. And she's going to be putting that together in the next few weeks. So if you have specific Seesaw questions that you want answered, Amy would love to hear from you. She's probably already asked that in the chat window. Feel free to let us know what it is that you'd like to see in a Seesaw course, but that will be added into the community. So if you remember, you'll get instant access to that once it's ready. PD certificate for today's session you can find here. I'm really hoping I tested this link ahead of time, and I can't remember if I did. I'm sure you'll let me know instantly when you've tried it that it's working or not working. So midnightmusic.com.au/PD badges, badges plural. I'll leave that up for a second. We'll also put that in the chat window in a moment too. And I will just say that in the next 24 hours or so, there will be a webinar replay link to be sent. It actually lives on YouTube already. So for instance, if you're watching on this page, you can actually click through to YouTube and save the link to it there. It's just going to be there. So you can access it anytime and rewatch it, and it will stay on my YouTube channel. There's a copy of my slides which will be made available also within 24 hours. I will include the PD certificate link on the page where the replay lives and the copy of the slides as well. And there will be a collection of other useful links there too. So how do you get all those things? If you had already signed up for this webinar, like you signed up properly with your email address and everything, you'll get a link sent to you on email. If you didn't do that, just what was I going to say? Look out on Facebook. If you're in any of the Facebook groups, I will post the link in whichever ones are relevant as well. But have a look out for that. Now, one last thing before we open up to the Q&A time. October. So October, the session, this is the date that the session is going to take place, and the topic is going to be Google Forms. And again, if you want to type in the chat window any specific things you've ever wanted to know about Google Forms, like if you've seen stuff that other people have done and you're like, I do not know how to get that going, That is the topic for the October webinar, and it's going to be lots of fun. I'm going to cover things like how to create your own quizzes, which are self-marking, how to do escape rooms using Google Forms, how to do simple things like exit tickets, how to have students submit work to you through Google Forms, which is a great use of forms and very underutilised, I think, and a number of other things as well. Now, if you're in Australia, so the way these webinar times work, essentially it remains at 8 p.m. US Eastern Standard Time. Now, at this time of the year, we have a time change, and then the next month the US has a time change. So for those in Australia, the time will be changing the next month and the month after, and then it will settle down. So next month is going to be 11 a.m. if you're in Australian Eastern Daylight Time, and if you're in other states, you can translate it from that sort of point. In November, it will actually be 12 midday, and it's going to stay at 12 midday for a while, basically through our summer. And in the past, I was kind of switching the time around for the different time zones. I was doing like one that's morning time for us here in Australia and then evening time for us here in Australia. I'm going to be really honest with you and say the evening just does not work well for me with family commitments and so on. So I'm going to consistently keep it at 8 p.m. US Eastern Standard Time. That just works a lot better for me. And if you're teaching in Australia at that time, I'm really sorry, but you can catch up with the recording afterwards. So that will always be made available. Okay, let's open our question. I'm going to just stop sharing my screen here and go back to me. Oh, I've done the wrong button here. There we go. I'm just going to put this on the screen too. So this is the link to get to the links, the collection of links for today's session. I'm sure Amy's put that in there already. And I'm just going to open up the chat window so I can see what's going on too. Oh, here we go. Wow. So I hope everyone found that useful. And yeah, I just really love this topic. I would love to hear if you try anything out, if you try any of this out, let me know. Like how did your students find it? Did you find an increase in engagement? Are they finding it fun and motivating? Mostly I've heard that is the case, that people are finding their students are really motivated by the whole badge concept. So lots of fun. Thank you for all the thank yous, Jackie. Question about Badger that I've just seen about, would it be too complicated for elementary children to use? No, not really, because they don't really need to use the platform themselves. It's you as a teacher. So you line, and basically you just need to have okay, so the drawback that I can see maybe for elementary is that you need to have an email address in order to send them the badge. So that is the way Badger works, at least. It may not be true for other ones. You may be able to work out a workaround. It could get complex, but they ask for an email address and then the badge gets sent via email to the student. So that may work for some of you, upper elementary particularly. It may not work if you're working with kids with no email address. But it's not really complicated for them. All they will receive is an image file and a link where they can view the image online and see the criteria there. So it's not hard from that point of view. Caitlin's asked about integrating with Canvas. Yeah, I don't know the answer to that. Caitlin, I'm sorry. That's a more recent thing. Since I used it last July, last time I used it in a big way, since then, the integration with Canvas happened after that. So I have not explored that. So maybe someone else watching knows that. But, feel free to, if you just search, I'm pretty sure that there's some YouTube videos that I've noticed, which will talk about that. So I don't know if that means that's going to be very useful if you are using Canvas. It will work obviously through the platform. So there will be less need, I'm imagining, for you to have individual email addresses that you upload. It will probably work through the platform itself. Great, just checking in here. Kath and Brielle are lining up something. I don't know what that is. Someone's at the door. I'm really hoping I'm going to call out to one of my boys for a second. Hold on.
Josh, Jamie, can you come and get the door? Come and get the door, please.
Inconvenient time for a delivery. Thank you, Simon. All right, checking into the chat window again.
Hello.
Great. Yeah, oh, Richard, just saw your comment about forms, about MS forms. I don't know. It depends. It will depend. I'll have a look into including some tips for Microsoft Forms as well. Conceptually, there's going to be a lot of similar things. The feedback that I've been getting is that a lot of people specifically want the Google Forms help, but I will definitely look into that because I know it's not like everybody's using the Google tools. So I know a big number of people are using Microsoft ones. So yeah, I'll see if I can do that. Thank you for that suggestion. I'm very conscious of concentrating too much on Google tools because that is the wider used platform, at least with a lot of people that I deal with. But I'm very conscious of not like ignoring that platform because also here in, I don't know where you are, Richard, but yeah, here in Victoria where I am, that is the platform for the department. So yeah, great. Jenny, just reading yours. Okay, yep. Jenny, welcome. So I just saw a comment about having to log back in again. Thank you, everybody, for the thank yous. I'm glad you enjoyed it. Yeah, the question about would they have to check their emails or would it populate somewhere on a site? I think that's getting back to the Badger platform, isn't it? Bree Cruz, the username Bree Cruz. Yes, it populates on the site. So that was what I was thinking actually as we were talking about it earlier. Theoretically, you could just find the link for the student where it lives and give them the link to the online display of their badge and the criteria. So yeah, I wonder if you can actually enter your own email address, for instance, for all the students. It comes back to you, but then you send them the link. I don't know, it might be a lot of work, but then there may actually be a way of perhaps, and I haven't explored this, exporting all of the badge links for all of the individual students. Maybe. Great. Yeah, Kath's just commented also, you thinking about using this to award staff. I think that's an awesome idea. I've seen lots of people use this for professional development within a school or within a district. And yeah, fantastic, really good. Thank you, Richard. He says, great webinar. Yeah, Shelley's thinking about Chrome Music Lab Mastery badges. I reckon that'd be great, yeah. Barb gets a mention as well. Was Barb here? Excellent. Thank you, Andrew. Did on Teams. Colleen's put another vote in for Teams. All right, I will see what I can do. The only issue I can see is that the webinar ends up being 3 hours long as I switch between the two. There may be things that I can do which just work in both and I just have screenshots of both options. So yeah, okay. But conceptually, yeah, the forms, no matter what form builder you use, there are many concepts which are very similar. So adding a question, adding an image to a question, but then particularly useful, I think, is the conditional logic. So if a student chooses this option out of 4 multiple choice options, then that leads them to go to one pathway, a specific pathway for something else. And that sort of behaviour is common across all things. Hello, Barb. I just saw your name here. Great. Thank you. Yes, thank you. Thank you. Team system, yeah. Yeah, Richard's saying prefer to use Google but forced to use Microsoft. I think that's the case for many. Yeah. Having said that, I don't mind the Teams platform. It looks quite nice and it has a number of things which are just different and good. I mean, the whole OneNote thing is really quite different to anything that the Google platform has, and I think that's really useful. Maybe also confusing for some people, but generally I think it's a good thing. Yeah, I hope everyone went well in the chat window. Amy's always typing furiously. Oh yeah, the question about Flippity and kids seeing only their badges. Let me open that up and I'll share my screen and just show you while the questions are still going on. I need to include that screenshot of where to find it. Hopefully I can get back into my Oh yes, fabulous. My badge tracker. Let me just share my screen again and show you how this works. There we go, I'll do me on the screen too. So this is my set of recorded badges. So I can, oh, this is my locked one, that's okay. So I can click through to, hopefully Linus has something. Oh yeah, Linus has some badges here. So you could send the students this link to this page, but this is the one where you can see there's a back button and the student could go back and see everyone else's badges there. So if I go back to this page here, this is the little button. It's tiny. Can you see this little button here above? It looks like a pop-out window icon. If you click on that, it opens up the student badges in its own page and you can see it's totally clean. There's no back button. They can click the Flippity option, but this takes them to the Flippity general website. So that is the link that you could send to the students. That could be quite cool. This example that I set up as well, if I do go back, I've just gone back to the previous tab. I've still got his individual page open there, but with the whole view here, you can see here, this is an example where I actually password protected some of the student options. I was just testing it out to see what it's like. If I click Ada, then it asks for a password in order to view Ada's badges. And even as a teacher, I have to enter that password. So I found it a little bit annoying because I thought if I was the teacher, it would be nice to have a fully unlocked teacher view, but password protect it for the students. But, you know, Flippity is a simple tool. It's not like a sophisticated platform with lots of features in it and something for free. So I'm okay with there being a few things I need to just consider or work around. So you could enter your password, click OK, and then you'll get to Ada's single page. So that is another option. But you have to have the passwords. You can see them in the back-end spreadsheet view of your Flippity setup. So when the student forgets their password, you can go back and tell them what the password is. The creator of Flippity actually says, you know, the password system for the badge, it's not like a foolproof locked, what do you call it? Solid watertight system. It's just there as an option. But I do like this individual page option, so I think that's quite a good one. Anyway, hopefully that makes sense. Do you want to see the back end view of Flippity while I'm here, if I can find it quickly? If I type Flippity badge tracker, here we go. This is the back end view of Flippity. I meant to put a screenshot of this into the presentation, but you can see here that this is the template that you get given, and you enter your badge image URLs across the top here. Now, you need to you need to read the instructions for how to set this up, because you cannot store the badges in Google Drive and put a Google Drive link there. I had to do a little ninja thing of putting each image into Google Drawings, clicking publish to the web, and then grabbing that link. So it's a little bit involved, but once it's set up, you're done. You put your titles in. You can actually say, is this badge available? So you can actually set up a whole year's worth of badges and uncheck the boxes for the ones that you don't want the kids to see for the time being. So you could have some of them hidden, but still set up. And then underneath here is the student names, and you essentially just type an X into the box where you want to award the student. If you want to award them a percentage of the badge, you'll type in the percentage. So 50% here, I've got 20% there, 0.8 there. You can type that in. If you want to add a star to the badge, you just type X and then put asterisks afterwards. That's a really hard word to say. You put stars afterwards. And then it will show 2 stars on this one. This one's just got, I know it's tiny on the screen for you, isn't it? This one will just show one star. But that's it, super simple. So, you know, you could, in theory, select all these boxes and just type X and all of your students will get the badge at once. So very, very fast to award them. I hope that makes sense. Let me go back to just me on the screen here. Great. Thank you, Melissa. I know I've probably missed a few questions here. Amy's probably handled them all. Type in again if I've missed your question and it's a burning one and you really need an answer. Lindsay's asked a question about organising Flippity names into folders for multiple classes. I actually think, Lindsay, the best way to organise Flippity badges is to have a separate spreadsheet for each class. So when you get the template, and what I did to make this a really quick process, once you have set up your badges, so let's say you've got 4 grade 5 classes, which are all working on recorder level badges, I would set one up for the first class, and then you'll just use the whole file make a copy option, change the student names, and you're done. And you can get rid of anything that's, you know, been awarded in here. Just have a blank template and just go file copy. And that means that the display, oh, I'm showing you, sorry. I just realized I'm not sharing my screen. That's not very useful. It's like teasing you. Where's my mouse gone? Let me come back here. So you'll set up one spreadsheet, put your badge names across the top and your links and all that sort of thing. Leave the student names blank, the column blank for the time being, and then go file and then make a copy, and then just change the student names for each of the separate Google spreadsheets. So I think that's probably the best way to organise it. I was also thinking about, this is where you would also consider, like if grade 5 are earning recorder badges, but maybe later in the year you've also got a set of ukulele badges that the same class is working towards. At that point, you would make the decision whether you want the ukulele badges to show as well as the recorder badges, or do you just want the recorder badges on their own? If you wanted them separately, you'll set up a separate spreadsheet for each set of badges. And if you want them on the same page for the same class, you'll set them all up in the same spreadsheet. So yeah, that's that. On the Flippity template, you can have, I think I read it was up to 50 badges going across the top here. But there is even a template that the creator has set up for 200 badges or more. So if you were really using badges in a big way, that could be an option for you. And don't forget that, let's say maybe in the first part of the year, they're working towards recorder badges and they all achieve them and you're done with that unit of work, you can just turn them off in the badges available thing up here. So if you don't need them to display for the whole school year, you could just turn those ones off, turn on the ukulele ones or whatever the next one is, and then have those showing. So it just depends on what you're doing and, you know, how many you're working with and all that sort of thing. So with Flippity, just before I leave this spreadsheet, once you've set up all your stuff, the initial link where you're going to see, like, get to this view, in the spreadsheet template, there's a second tab which says get the link here. So you'll go here, and this is the link which takes you to your view of that class's badges or that group of students' badges. And that's this view here. So that opens up and then you can click through to student names and so on. So yeah, it's quite easy and nice to use. I was impressed with how it works, and it's just a great way to kind of do that display thing. If you don't want to go through all the setting up of charts and Google Docs and so on, you know, this is a good option for you. All right, let me come back to the chat window again. Yeah, getting back to your question, Lindsay, I don't think they can live on separate tabs of the same sheet stock. I don't know. I haven't tested it. I think maybe just, you could try it out. Just try it with a small number. Keep a copy somewhere else. Try it out. This is how I try everything. I mean, I just keep a copy of the original thing that looks nice and is working really well. Make a copy, play with it, add a separate tab. I suspect not. I think it's probably going to be cleaner, and mechanically it's going to work better if there's separate things. Anyway. Oh, yeah, you've read. Yeah, yeah, you're talking about the links changing as well for each class. Yes, correct, yeah. So, yeah, it's really up to you how you want to organise it. And, of course, yes, if that's the other thing to consider. If you send the students their link to their personal page where all their badges are displayed, if you have separate spreadsheets, they're going to have more than one link to visit, which may or may not suit you. If you want to have a single page with everything on it, then you'll put it all in the same spreadsheet. Yeah. Thank you, Shelley. I just read your comment about connecting at the end of the session. Yeah, and look, anyone that's still on, you can just tell me your opinion on this. I've actually wondered whether I should use, for that reason, the connection thing. would you want to see the whole webinar look like this, which is an option. I mean, when I share my screen, I show, this view instead, where I'm little in the side here, but you can still see my slides. I always feel like this view, where it's bigger on the screen, is going to be better and clearer. But, I know some people prefer to see the person. So I don't know, maybe let me know. I was going to ask that in last month's webinar, actually, and just see what people thought about that. It doesn't worry me too much either way. Caitlin says, it looks like Canvas has options. You can have separate badges, space in the navigation on the left, or you can view and earn them in a module. Oh, that's cool. That's in Canvas. Is that what you're saying? I guess. Great. Yeah. Oh, yeah. That sounds really good. Helen, no, actually, so Helen just commented about when you do file, make a copy. I found that it changed the link. So when you set up your template and you go to that second tab where you find your link to view the Flippity page where your badges are, I tested that actually because I thought, I'm probably messing with it a little bit. I made a copy of the whole spreadsheet, and actually the link that it generated was a new one on that page. So that worked really well. Yep. Yeah, Juanda, I don't know if I'm saying your name correctly. And that was the thing that I left out of the webinar. Joanna asked about, I noticed you use Google Forms to send us PD certificate. Could you use Forms to send students their badges? I actually had that in the webinar. Maybe I'll add next month's Google Forms webinar. Yes, you totally could do that. And there's a couple of ways that you can do it. Yeah, absolutely. So you can actually get them to fill out a form, and they say, what badge did you just, achieve or work on if you want to. It could be just for a single level, but you could say, hey, which one? Choose from this list, level 1, 2, 3. They click on that, and then you can actually make the form at the very end. You go, congratulations, and here is your image. Right click and save image to grab your copy of your badge. I actually did that as a little test. And if you've got a multiple choice set up where there's level 1, 2, and 3 that they're choosing from, like which one did you just achieve? If they choose level 1, the last thing they'll see is the level 1 badge. If you choose level 2, you can set the form up so that it takes them to the different ending point of the level 2 badge, and then same with level 3, and for as many as you want. So yes, that is an option. I don't know why I left it out. I felt like I had so much and I didn't want to owe people, but yes, you could totally do that. And I will say, for the PD certificates that you get for these webinars, I'm actually using another add-on, a ninja thing called Autocrat. And I've made a video which is on YouTube which walks you through how to use that. So that allows you to have a certificate template or some kind of template which will say, congratulations, you've achieved badge level 1. And rather than sending just a small image, it will send them a full page certificate like you've seen for the PD certificate. So that's, again, an option. And Autocrat, the add-on, is how your personal name ends up on that certificate. It's like a mail merge option. So your name, you can put whatever information onto the certificate itself. Anyway, YouTube walkthrough. I'll grab the link while we're talking. Thank you for the comments about seeing my face. Just the video. Yeah, I'm totally not offended if you say just the video. Maybe I have asked that question. Yeah, I think so too. I think it's better when it's bigger on the screen. Shirley's commenting on the knocking on the door. Yeah, it's so hard to control the environment when you're working from home. You all know what this is like now. And I actually feel good that everyone's doing or done remote teaching, because you all know my pain of running live webinars from home. Like literally the UPS guy shows up at the door, or FedEx or whatever, and I don't know when they're going to show, Australia Post, whoever. And lately, last few months, they haven't been knocking on the door. They just leave it on the doorstep and go off again. But yeah, something like today's one, he knocked on the door. So there you go. Lucky my sons are here doing remote learning at home. Yeah, they know, they're on high alert when I'm running these webinars. I'm like, if I call you for any reason, come out straight away. Yeah, thanks, Jackie. Prefers the big thing. Helen likes the face. Okay, you might be in the minority, I think. Yeah, okay, Jackie, I'll add that into the Google Forms webinar. I may also just make a quick video for the community as well and put it in there ahead of that. But yeah, I'll do that in the webinar. Oh, Lindsay did that for 500 students as an optional thing. About 30 were able to do it so far. Yeah, copy and paste is, for the students is new, and so Google Slides, wow. Helen, I'm glad you liked Flippity. Yeah. Failing eyes like the bigger screen. Yeah, I'm kind of getting to that point too myself. Brielle, thank you. Brielle says, thank you for your amazing webinars that I always look forward to. Help my tech skills grow so much. There's open new opportunities. So grateful. Thank you, Brielle. I really appreciate that. I love seeing all the comments. And I don't know if I shared this already, but if you want to vote, I'll put the link for voting on the future webinars. I thought I was going to add that. Maybe Amy already shared that. I don't even know if I've got the link handy. Maybe it's on the Wakelet collection. That would be kind of cool. But what made me think of that was Brielle's lovely comment. So in the voting form where you can vote on future topics, there's a comments field, and I got lots of nice comments through that. So thank you if you were one of those people who left a nice comment. It was really good to see. Yeah, Rosie's got another vote in for distributing the badges that way too. Yep. Heather says, which is easier and less time, Flippity or Magic Digital Badges? Ooh, once you've got either of them set up, they are the same time for you as a teacher, like the same effort for awarding badges, because you're only typing a letter into a cell to award a badge. So once you're set up, it's done. The setup of both is about the same effort and time spent. Slightly more for Magic Digital Badges because you have to do that thing where you put the badge image into Google Drawings and publish to the web. And I haven't found another option for a link. But anyway, hang on, was that Flippity? No, that was Magic Digital Badges. Yep. So slightly more setup time, but really not much difference. Yeah, and so I think it's more about how do you want the students to get the badges? How do you want them to display them? So if you want the students to receive them in their own Google Drive folder, Magic Digital Badges add-on is the way to go. If you want them to just click on a link and view their badges on a page, then Flippity is the way to go. I have a feeling maybe Flippity, I would lean towards Flippity being maybe something that like younger teachers of younger students might head for, but it doesn't have to be. It could be any age group, really. Yeah. Dominique, yeah, remote teaching is difficult with internet problems and Google having problems. I know. Google's had a few problems, I think, in the last couple of days. I feel like something else had issues too. Oh, I know Safe YouTube had issues. I feel like Flipgrid had issues for a few days too. I think it's that back to school rush and everybody jumping onto these platforms at the same time. So, yeah, it's hard. I do feel like people's expectations are more realistic. Like from my point of view, delivering these webinars, I used to worry a lot more about, the dog, that dog in the background or someone at the door, whatever. Now I'm just like, you know what, you guys have all had it too, so I know that you don't really care that much about it, and it's not a big deal as long as I can keep going. You love coming into my neat home, Becky. If you could see the floor, you'd see golden retriever, golden fibers of love, as we call them, as tumbleweed in every corner. Oh my gosh. Oh, she had a kookaburra laughing earlier too. I love the kookaburra laughing sound, is one of my favorites. I know. Yeah, Dominique's just talking about my dog. She's a she, actually. Her name's Ella, after Ella Fitzgerald. But yeah, she totally does. I have to line them up. And I know that like it's a self-perpetuating issue that I'm creating, but there's like nothing else I can do. So yeah. Can the students save the badge image from Flippity to use elsewhere? Oh, I don't know. Let me try that. I'm just on Linus's page. I can right click on a badge and go save image as, but I'm just going to see what it looks like because I have a feeling it's going to be teeny tiny and not very good quality. Oops. Oh, no, nothing. It's totally blank. Okay, no, that did not work. No, I haven't seen a way for them to do that directly from Flippity. Could be something that you can experiment with a little. Oh, Amy found the link for the form. Thank you. Donna says good night. Good night, Donna. Sleep well. Christina says that's helpful. I'm not sure what that was in response to, but good. I'm glad, whether that was me or Amy. Google Drive had issues today, says Lindsay. Oh, I know, painful. Oh, wow, Brielle. Brielle's had an offer to make online resources. That's so good. That's awesome. Wow. I remember Brielle did the 5-day challenge last year, and I just remember some such funny comments in the Facebook group we had going where Brielle's like, oh my gosh, every day you're making me into a tech ninja, which I love. I get quite a few people saying that things I've shown them, they've gone to show their colleagues, like other teachers that they work with, and now the other teachers think that they are like really tech ninja. So good for you. Keep doing that. Terry says, yay for Ella and boys. Yeah, absolutely. Oh, Jackie, that's such a good name. A good idea. Pass the heart video. That would be cool. Oh, yeah, that's such a cool idea. Yeah, okay, I'll have a think about that. It's like an editing job, but it's not that hard. Like, it's not too hard to do. It's really funny as well. Maybe we should, the throwing thing was funny though. What can we throw? Maybe a heart-shaped anything. That could be something that's achievable. That was why we did the bottle for the video. So Jackie's referring to a video that I shared. My members of my running group, we all, a number of us videoed ourselves catching a bottle as if it had been thrown by someone, and then throwing it off again. And then I pieced all the videos together so it looked like we were all throwing it back and forth to each other. It was hilarious. Some of the things that people did were really funny and creative, and they just worked really well in the video. So yeah, and we chose a bottle because everyone has a bottle, and I said to them, it doesn't matter if all the bottles are different, it actually makes it a bit funnier. But yeah, a heart, you could make a heart on paper or have a heart something, like I'm sure people have soft toys which are hearts and stuff, and we could do that. That sounds good. Yeah, no, I like the heart idea. I think that's cool. Yeah, Christina, I thought you'd like those, the magic digital badges to Google Drive and Flippity. Yeah, I was going to tag you actually in one of the posts about whichever one I shared just recently. But yeah, I think those are really good tools to explore. They're really not that hard to set up. You just kind of need to sit down and work through methodically. I've actually written out step-by-step instructions for both, and I'm going to put them into a document, make them look a little bit more organised, and I'll post them in the community too, just so that you can download a PDF if you prefer to work through that way. But I will make just a walkthrough video of each one as well. It's good. Yeah, that's the challenge we can do. Yeah, that's a good idea, Amy. Yeah, Helen's just saying Flippity gives you the option to provide a link. You could link to the badge, but then everyone could see it. Yeah, there's sort of like no one perfect solution for all of this, is there? But anyway. Shelley says, in Canva, will the animated stickers work on a badge? Yes, but you have to share it. Yeah, Amy's already said, yep, you've got to share it as a GIF or a movie file. Yep. So then it becomes, is that a format you can then share to the students, like where do they want to end up with it? It wouldn't work with the Magic Digital Badges option, I don't think, although I will test it because that would be kind of cool. But you could just send them the GIF file and then they drag it into slides and it will still animate. Yeah, someone had made them in the Canva course when we did that. Someone had one, it was so cool. They put sparkly elements on the badge and it was just like really magical looking, magical badge. Very cool. Oh, Jackie's saying you're doing it next term. Connect your schools up in the Corinthian project. I do not know what that is, Jackie. Yeah. Brielle says, how do I make the video? Oh, the videos. You can do them in any video editing software. So what I did, I sent instructions to the members of the running group because I thought I need to make it I need to make it work for me as the video editor. So the instructions I sent, very simple for them. I wanted to allow them to use their phone to record because I knew that was the option that was going to be easiest for everyone. Everyone just going to use their smartphone to record. So I said, record using your phone and make sure you do it in landscape view, not portrait. Two people sent me portrait view videos. I will not mention their names. I made it work, but landscape view. Anyway, so that was their point of view. And then they sent me the videos. Actually, next time I do this, I'm going to use WeTransfer, which Amy had mentioned to me, which I knew from years ago and I didn't think to use for this project. But I actually just got them to send me the video through Facebook Messenger, knowing that it wasn't going to be great because when you send a video through Messenger compresses the video and makes it not great quality. But I thought, you know what, for this project, who cares? I'm not going to fuss about it. So they sent it to me through Messenger. That's not going to be an option for this other project. I will do it actually via Flipgrid transfer. So anyway, they send me the video and then I opened up, and you can use any video editing software for this. Personally, I use ScreenFlow. So I dragged all the tiny clips into ScreenFlow, and I said to them, your video should end up being 5 to 10 seconds long, because basically catch the bottle and throw the bottle. However, some of them did something creative in the middle. What I did was I dragged all the clips into the video editing software. And so you can see all the clips on the timeline and move them around like a jigsaw puzzle. So, you know, person A can throw to person B, or you go, actually, no, it's going to be a bit better if they throw to person C. So you move that clip into place and put it after the A video. So you can switch around the order and change them up. I actually sped up a lot of the clips, so they played in like a fast forward view, which made it funnier, and it was better because it reduced down the time length of the clip if it was a bit long. And that was it. I essentially just matched them all up. So the only thing I had to do, which was just a little bit funny, like a puzzle, was I had to match up. If someone caught the bottle from this direction, obviously someone had to throw it from that way out of their, you know, screen in order for this person to catch it from that way. Anyway, you know what I mean. It was like doing dominoes where you're matching up dominoes and stuff. So I matched up all the ones I had, and then I found that I had a little set of videos which worked really well, and another little set of videos which worked really well, and a gap between them because I didn't have the right person throwing the right way to the end one and the beginning one of the next section, if you know what I mean. So I went out and I worked out which way I needed the bottles to go, and I recorded about 4 different videos to bridge the gaps. I ended up with a few more that I could work with, but it was very funny. Very funny. So once you've pieced them all together, I just lined them all up together. I put a music track to it. You don't have to do that, but it's funnier with the music. And that was it. It was, I don't know, 2 minutes long, 3 minutes long or so. It was hilarious. I had a lot of fun doing it. Oh, Caitlin says, thank you for opening eyes to Flipgrid. It's changed your life. Oh, that's so good. Yeah, I think I hear about a lot of tools, and you know, I spend a lot of time not looking at them properly. And then one day I'll just go, oh God, I just really need to look at this Wakelet thing, you know. And then I sit down and I look at it and I'm like, oh, why didn't I look at that months ago? So it happens to me too. You just need to kind of see it. I like to watch videos on YouTube, someone else walking me through the tool, because then I just get the overview, like what does this do? Why do I want it anyway? Or do I want it? Maybe I don't. And once I've done that, then I will sit down and look at it properly. But anyway. Yeah, Jackie, I think that's a great idea. I will definitely look at doing that. Oh, thank you so much, everyone. I really feel like we should wind up now. I know we could chat forever, but it's midday. I'm conscious that Amy's still on, still working away, and it's so great to have you here, so I'm really appreciative. But yeah, that would be really fun. It would be really good fun to do. Yeah, I'll have a think about that. I think a heart could be good. Something musical could be good, but a heart is good because it's a consistent thing that everybody could find or create themselves. Yeah, that would be good. I love it. Yeah, Amy needs to go to bed. Thanks, Jackie. It's great to have you here. I hope you're all going well and everything. Thank you, Caitlin. Thanks, Brielle. All right, everyone, I will sign off. See you next month for Google Forms with a bit of Teams Forms or whatever they call Microsoft Forms thrown in as well. I better have my crash course in that too. But yeah, you're right. I think Richard, I know Richard's probably gone now, but yes, I think that's a great idea to sort of cover off on both, at least in some kind of way. So thanks, Dominic. Thank you, Christina. All right. I'll see some of you in the community, and yeah, I'll share all those things that I've mentioned, or some of them are already in there anyway. So, all right. See you. Bye.